Hello, welcome to FatbossTV, Loz and Alex again.
Hello.
Just covering the last part of all the Blizzcon coverage, breaking it down for you guys. In this video, we're going to be covering all the miscellaneous stuff that we didn't really put into the PvP or PvE video, or the garrisons, or the Draenor continent, like, breakdown. So, in this video, we're going to be covering things such as, like, the new level cap, we're going to be looking at the new quest updates, the itemization updates, all the changes to your inventory, and all that sort of nonsense. And we're going to go through them one by one and sort of share our thoughts and opinions.
And starting off, kicking straight into it, Lawrence, the level cap, of course, has been raised to level 100. And we did kind of see this from a mile off.
We saw this coming.
5.4 PTR, we saw that Garrosh's heirloom scaled from level 90 to 100, so we kind of already knew. But the interesting thing is that this is the first expansion, out of the last two expansions anyway, that is going to be a 10-level gap. We haven't had a 10-level gap since Lich King came in. So it's going to be really interesting to see if it's really fucking shit, like most other questing experiences has been. But they did say that they're going to really focus on that, and we're going to cover that in a second. But the thing is, with there only being 7 new zones and 10 new levels, either you have to get quite a few levels per zone in order for you to maybe go through 4 or 5 of the zones, or you're literally going to have to go in every single zone to level in.
I really hope that you do have to go in every single zone, because I mean, if you think back to Mists, how many zones is there? Cut off the top of my head, God, there's 7, is that right? Or 8? Either way, there's a lot of zones, but you don't have to go to every single one, and some you can skip entirely. Like Krasarang Wilds, for example, that place was just... I think I went there and did one quest and thought, fuck this.
It's not a great zone in all fairness. It's very grindy, that zone.
It's just a shit zone.
It's got a good cutscene.
Apart from the cutscene where...
Yeah. It's quite a good zone.
Yeah, we won't talk about that cutscene.
It was very bad. But yeah, either way, hopefully they do make the questing zones and everything better, and I'm sure it'll be great. But yeah, so new level cap, level 100. That's awesome.
Now, talking about questing, they've changed the quest UI, as in the quest log itself. They've made it so that key storylines are actually going to become prominent within, like, your quest tab itself. So if you do, like, walk down the road and you pick up a quest that's like, I'm just an old lady who needs to go get 5 plums so I can make my husband some cider, or something retarded like that. Plum cider, something new.
Why not?
Yeah, something like that. That isn't going to be important. But you'll still be able to do it, but it will just show. It will be obvious on the quest log, right, this isn't that important, you're just helping some old bitch who gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a quest chain that is very, very important and it goes towards, like, the story of the zone, that will become more prominent, and it will also show on the mini-map where you can pick up these quests, or where you've already picked up the quest and dropped them, or you've seen quest givers, and or that sort of idea. It's just to show you you need to go to these ones in order to either progress on the zone achievements or progress on, like, the storyline of the zone itself.
Now, also to do with questing and stuff like that, is that they're trying to implement dynamic events and treasures. And the whole idea about this is that if you've played a game like Rift, that pretty much random shit disappears, and then people will go around and you'll go all kind of fix it, and you'll group up and you'll just go and do stuff. It's kind of something else to help you in zones. It gives you extra experience, and it might be like a multi-tier sort of thing, so kind of like an open world scenario maybe.
Yeah, it's to make questing itself a little bit more unpredictable, because questing in World of Warcraft right now, it's extremely linear. I mean, obviously you can choose where to go and what quest to do, so in that sense it's not, but the quests are always the same, and the same happens every time you go do them, except maybe there's some sort of other player interaction that can interrupt that, such as PvP. But in terms of other things that actually happen in-game with the environment, or through random events such as world bosses spawning, or suddenly a load of mobs jump on your head out of nowhere, they're trying to introduce those sort of things. So it does make the leveling experience more entertaining and, well, just more interesting generally. And the whole thing with treasures, this is something that they trialled out in Mists of Pandaria, where you did have, like, the random treasures that were dotted all over the map, and you had to go find them. They want to keep up with this, and they want to make it so it's more important, but they want them to be almost a little bit story-driven. With a lot of the treasures that you pick up now in Mists of Pandaria, some of them do have some sort of, like, background to them, and you can sort of work out yourself where they came from and all that sort of business. But there are a few, like the amber sap that's under the tree. You just pick it up and say, there you go.
Yeah.
Go sell it to a vendor, have fun. Here's an achievement. Which is a bit boring. They want it to be a little bit more story-driven. And they want it so if you do, like, go exploring various little different nooks and crannies of the new Draenor when it comes out, they want you to find these sort of things. They want to encourage you to explore the world, which is brilliant.
Now, along with the quest trying to be a bit more dynamic and things like that, you are going to be able to get rare and epic rewards from like what would normally be a green quest reward. So say that your friend has done a bunch of the quests and he's like, oh, I got a load of green rewards, and at the moment that's kind of what you get. You might get a red towards the end of the zone or the end of that quest chain where you have to like defeat the final boss of the quest chain. But now it's going to have like a random chance that your green rewards could randomly just be epic. So they'll have like a bunch more item levels on them, and they'll be slightly more powerful and give you a power spike. Of course, they wouldn't be anything that you'll be using at max level or anything like that. It will be stupidly overpowered, or it's very unlikely. It's still something that kind of ruffles up the questing experience and just gives you power spikes and stuff like that.
It just makes it more interesting.
It's more fun, yeah.
Now, they have said that once you do reach max level, obviously you've got things to do such as raiding, PvP, your garrison. They have got a lot of ideas for other content that they're going to be released. They want to release as much content for you to do as max level as possible. And they said that it's something that's going to be important for them to do for this expansion, which is definitely the right direction, I think.
Yeah.
Being able to do a lot of different things outside of raids, especially things that are actually fun to do. I mean, like the farm, for example, doesn't count.
What? That was fun as shit.
Only you like that farm.
I haven't.
No one else liked the farm.
I haven't farmed in quite a while.
Well,
actually.
then that's how fucking great it is.
I think they're all dead or something. But either way, yeah.
But yeah, the farm fucking sucks. So they want to do more things out of raids. There's going to be very, very little daily quests, which is brilliant because daily quests suck balls.
In all fairness, Mr. Pandaria was the daily quest like expansion. That's all you did.
One thing they did say is that they want to focus more on long-term epic storyline type quests. So if you think about the Dominance Offensive, if you go to them, there's quite a lot of quests that just seem to appear out of nowhere. Like every 3 days, a new quest there to go towards the storyline, which also goes towards achievements. If you're the kind of people that like farming those sort of achievements, they're looking at adding a lot more of them. They're also trying to add so the environment has more impact on your gameplay. How they're going to do this, they didn't really say. They didn't go in depth of it at all, but I assume this is to do with things like that the world may change now and then. So like you might have one area might suddenly be overrun with a certain type of mob. Kind of like in Winter Spring, if you remember in Winter Spring, like every so often like you get a load of elementals spawn. I think maybe they want to do this sort of thing. They haven't really said, but that sort of thing hasn't been in the game for a long, long time. So bringing that sort of thing back would make it pretty interesting.
Now, if you guys remember, if you actually go through the interface in the game, you might be able to find something called the raid group finder groupie uppy bullshit thing. Well, yeah, that's kind of wank, and they even said that themselves. They said, yeah, it's terrible, and we're making a better version. Basically, you're going to be able to, it's called the group finder. You'll be able to send out like a post or whatever, and people are going to be able to browse through loads of stuff, and you're going to be able to pretty much go and group up to find anything. So maybe you'll send out something saying, I want to finish off my Shadowmon, who wants to come to ICC, and then like you'll just be able to get a bunch of people to join you up there.
And this is completely cross-realm.
It's cross-realm, which is probably the most important
and
thing.
You can post to make a group for almost anything. This includes flex raiding. If you wanted to do that for the new normal and heroic, you would be able to do that. So this is like a great change because the current raid finder, group finder thing, whatever the fuck it is terrible. They even said that like most people forget it's even in the game.
I kind of forgot it was in the game in all fairness.
It is really, really bad. So if people do actually use this one and they make it very user-friendly, it could be a great success. It means that a lot of add-ons are out there that do the same thing, and it also means that various different raid-finding websites that most of you guys probably use are going to become redundant. You don't need to use them anymore, which saves a lot of tabbing and a lot of time because you can just do it all in-game.
Now, speaking a bit more about the leveling experience and what's going to be happening to your character from level 91 to 100, Blizzard themselves have said, and I'm sure everyone else kind of agrees, everyone has enough spells on their action bars right now, so what they're going to be doing, instead of giving you a shit ton of spells every couple of levels or anything like that, what they want to do is make it so your core spells will be upgraded as you level. This kind of makes it so each time you do get a level, it actually feels like you've somewhat accomplished something, because at the moment it kind of feels like every 15 levels you get like it's quite boosty because you, oh look, I get this new talent. So it kind of, this is replacing somewhat like that sort of niche-y sort of feeling where people just like, I want some sort of thing to make me feel good every time I level.
A lot of these bonuses that you will get from leveling are going to be like passive bonuses.
Yeah.
A couple of examples that they gave is that they're thinking about Shadow Priests having the option to bank like 2 orbs, like Paladins can do with Holy Power, where they can bank 5, even though all their abilities only use 3. The same would apply to Shadow Priests with their orbs, which is like a ginormous thing for Shadow Priests.
Yeah.
Like, because then you can actually decide when to use your Devouring Plague rather than just spam it because you got your Mind Blast and you got 3 orbs. So at least you'll actually be able to, you know, store them, which is a brilliant change. They also suggested like pretty basic passive things like extra fireball damage. But there are some interesting things like assassination rogues. They suggested that they might have something that means that they always have slice and dice up.
Yeah, it's kind of making it so each time you level, you kind of feel that you've gotten stronger a little bit more. So you do go out and you do that extra 35% damage with your fireball, or you do go out and you are hitting faster all the time. You don't need to worry about that sort of shit. So I think it's a really nice change anyway. It just makes it better.
And because they are bringing in these new passive bonus, they did say that there would be some class changes, but they really want to keep away from doing any major class changes because they're pretty happy with how everything is at the moment. And I'd agree. I think everything is pretty balanced right now, apart from Warlocks.
Yes.
Yeah. Even though they've been nerfed 5 times.
Maybe 6?
Don't know. Probably need 10 nerfs, and then they might be at the right place. But yeah, that's what they're looking at doing with the whole leveling thing. Now, one thing that they have announced is a new boost to 90 and immediately play system. This is going to be something that is probably brought in with old players in mind, and it's going to work very, very similar to how like the Scroll of Resurrection works, except you don't really need someone else to send you a scroll. You can just go out, buy the game, and immediately you'll get a character to level 90, and it can either be a new character that you just made at level 1, or it can even be your old main. So if you stop playing in TBC, you can immediately make your TBC main that's level 70 straight to level 90, if that's the player that you decide to choose.
I think this is a really good thing, because people will be coming back for the expansion, and they might be somewhat expansions behind, and then it's like, oh, I really want to experience all the new content. Let me just quickly go through Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, and then Mists of Pandaria, and then maybe I'll get to go into Draenor. Yay!
And it's like, oh shit, all my friends are already raid biz.
Exactly.
And have completed all the content, and I can't go with them because I've got no gear.
Yeah. So
those sort of situations could happen.
So this is really, really good. I think it'll be like on some sort of token system or something where it's just like on the sidebar and you just get to click it, like boost this character to 90 or whatever.
And it appears that it's for anyone who buys the expansion.
Yeah.
So it means that you could even apply to people that do have an active subscription, like you guys who are probably listening and are actually playing yourselves. So you might be able to just ding a character that you couldn't be bothered to level straight to level 90.
Well, I have been trying to level a mage for like about the last 4 or 5 years. So yeah, that'll be good. Just ding, 90, done.
Sounds like a plan.
GG. So moving on from that, there are a shit ton of itemization changes that we're going to be going through, and basically what they're kind of focusing on is making it somewhat more simpler but more exciting when you get a piece of gear. Because sometimes when I get a bit of gear, I'm just like, well, that'll kind of fuck up everything.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a 14 item level upgrade, which would mean it, even though the stats on it aren't necessarily good, it is a better upgrade, but it's like, oh, that's got a hit and expertise on it. I don't really want hit and expertise. I'm already at cap, you know. Yeah. It's just gear right now is awkward.
So what they're doing, and I think it's fucking awesome, right? So what they've removed from the game, they've removed hit and expertise. They're no longer there.
They're
Dodge
gone.
And parry. That stat on gear is no longer there, and reforging is also no longer there. So that's huge. That is huge. But I think it's amazing because I find this game very, very awkward when you do have to min-max. Min-maxing isn't necessarily fun. When I get a new bit of gear and it is going to fuck up my ratings or whatever, so I'm going to go over cap on my hit and then under cap on my expertise, then I have to go to the reforger with my reforge light, which isn't fun because all the numbers are already there. I just hit calculate. It does it all for me, and then it costs me like 300 gold for this new bit of gear. It's just a pain in the arse. It's not fun, and to be honest, in terms of your character progression, I'm a level 90 rogue, I've been fighting Ragnaros, I've been fighting everyone, and then you're telling me that I'm gonna miss on this giant fucking turtle. How does that work? It's a fucking giant... It's stupid. I'm glad that hit and expertise are gone.
And it doesn't mean that it's gone from your gear, which means you're going to dodge, parry, and miss all the time.
Yeah.
You will be able to hit every single time with every single spell you've got, which means that there's no more RNG bullshit regarding that if you are under cap. As for the changes with dodge and parry, they are going to still exist in the game, and tanks will still be able to dodge and parry as well as all other players, but they're not putting it on gear. I think this is a brilliant change because quite a lot of tanks these days, if you do get avoidance on your gear, it's almost like, well, I don't really need it. Because of the active mitigation they added to the game, dodge and parry seems redundant unless dodge and parry does help your active mitigation. For warriors, for example, that's how it works for them, with revenge spam for all your rage so you can do your shit with your shields. But I think it is a good change because they are kind of boring stats and they're RNG stats as well.
Yeah.
RNG stats for me, especially as a tank, it's just lame.
Yeah.
I mean, it just isn't fun. They did say in order to sort of replace this, they're going to change a few abilities so that if you did use that ability, that meant that you, on your next hit, you definitely parry it.
Yeah.
Or you definitely dodge it. or something like that, which does increase the active mitigation even more than what it is now, which is brilliant.
Now, some of the professions have changed towards gear as well. First of which is enchanting. Now, enchanting, of course, is still going to be around. However, fewer items can be enchanted, but those items that can be enchanted will have more choices for them. So at the moment, as like a DPS, pretty much your weapon only has one enchant. So if you're an agility user, you're dancing steel and all that kind of stuff. So you only have kind of one option. Now they're kind of spreading it out a bit and giving you a bit more choice. This might hurt enchanters a little bit, but overall I think it's probably a good change in my opinion.
I think it's a good change that you're enchanting less pieces, but I think it's a little bit shit because ultimately one is always going to be better than the other one. All you need to do is just do the sim behind it, work out which will give you the highest amount of DPS, and that is the one that will be used, unless they make them all balanced. But if they make them all balanced, it's quite they'll all be similar and all be boring. So
yeah, well, it depends what they do. Like maybe they make it so that it gives you a proc or a use or something where you can suddenly speed up. It gives you a speed increase or something.
Yeah, I mean,
like that.
if they change it so you get more factors that don't necessarily increase your healing or your DPS or your tanking capabilities, but a utility thing, then that would be different. But if it's purely for DPS, which enchants have always been, they've always been just for DPS or healing or tanking, then it's not going to work. So if they do bring in some sort of utility, as you explained, then yeah, that would work. That would be cool.
Now, the number of items that are available with gem sockets is going to be a hell of a lot less. Like, less items are going to have gem sockets, and if the item does have a gem socket on it, it's highly likely it's only going to be one gem on it. They want to make gems a hell of a lot more powerful, and they want it to kind of be a bonus. You know, like how Warforged shit works at the moment, or the Thunderforge back in the Throne of Thunder? They kind of want to make it so, oh, there's a random chance that this weapon might have a socket on it instead. And the socket will not go towards the whole item level like budget, so it's just going to literally be an additional thing, and it's just kind of be a bit more rare and stuff like that. I think this is going to absolutely destroy jewel crafters. I'm sure they'll do something clever. I'm sure Blizzard aren't just going to completely destroy a whole profession, because people do use that for all their gold and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. But also there are going to be no socket bonuses, because of course there's only going to be one socket, and there's going to be no meta gems anymore either.
I like the idea that they're removing the meta gem, but I don't really like the idea that they're removing the other gems, like, well, limiting the amount you can have, they're lowering it. Because I kind of like the idea that if I am playing Resto Shaman, I could gem for, like, pure int. Whereas if I'm playing Elemental, I can still use that same gear and just change the gems. I like doing that, so I have that option. They're just trying to simplify it.
But the thing is, if you they've removed reforging, so you can't reforge everything to mastery or whatever. If they remove the majority of gemming, then you won't be able to gem everything. It kind of seems that you can't have that sort of customization with gear. This does make it somewhat more of a level playing field for everyone. It means that it kind of there's no creativity. So like on a certain fight, as a healer, you might want to have a shit ton of int stacked, because you know at one certain point you need to heal forever, and then the rest of the fight there's nothing really to do. So you might want to gem and enchant.
I mean, you can still do that with your gems. It's just you don't have as much option. It depends on how powerful they make these new gems. But yeah, we'll see how that works. Now, one major thing that they've done with gear is that they've now changed all armor. So whether it's plate or mail or leather or cloth, the stats that you get on that item, your primary stats, so either agility, intellect or strength, will depend on what spec you are. So if a mail chest drops and you are playing Resto Shaman, for example, that will have int on it. If you're still wearing the exact same chest and you change to enhancement, that will now have agility on it.
Yeah.
Which means it solves pretty much every single gear problem you'll ever have, especially in 10-man, although that's not really going to exist anymore. But it just allows you so a lot of gear isn't wasted, because you can use it for all specs. The extra stats that are on gear, such as haste, crit and mastery, they'll still exist, no doubts, but they won't change your specs. So that will be where you can choose what gear pieces you want for what person. One thing to note is that this also applies in with PvP gear, and it also applies to set bonuses. So if you get full Resto Shaman again, if you get full Resto Shaman 4-piece, and you then go enhancement, that will now be a 4 set for enhancement Shaman, and you'll get the bonuses from that as well as the stats changing. I think this is a great change, because it means that you don't have to gear certain items and gem certain items and enchant certain items just for your off-spec. Because it will already be done. They haven't said that the enchants will change, though, and they haven't said that the gems will change, but I'm pretty sure they'll bring in some sort of system so that happens as well. But as for like rings, necks, cloaks, trinkets and weapons, they'll be more focused on your rolls, so they probably won't change the stats if you change your spec. It's only really your major armor pieces like your helm, your shoulders, your legs, your chest. Basically any tier pieces, they'll be the kind of items that would change. Everything else won't, they'll just stay solid. And because they have removed dodge and parry from gear, instead they're looking at putting extra armor on gear, and it's most likely going to be on rings and necks and cloaks and stuff like that, rather than on gear itself that already has armor. There won't be like a plus armor bonus to that gear. It'll literally be on things that don't have armor, such as weapons or rings or necks. So that is what they want to have as the primary tank stat.
Now, because they have removed this hit and expertise and dodge and parry, and they're kind of simplifying everything else, they do want to make the gear still very exciting and a bit cool, and they've done this by adding a bunch of tertiary stats that are just bonus to gear. It can just randomly appear on gear, and it doesn't count towards the overall item level budget, so it's literally a completely additional thing, kind of like Warforged. Now, the examples that they gave is that you can have lifesteal, avoidance, sturdiness, movement speed, cleave, and a bunch of other shit as well. But so like lifesteal will mean that all the damage that you do, you'll get a percent of it back.
Diablo 3.
Sturdiness is basically your armor doesn't get damaged.
Diablo 3.
Movement speed is actually going to stack now. They're trying to make it so all movement speed is going to be able to stack up to a certain cap, so it doesn't go absolutely crazy, so you're not moving around like 400% speed when
Diablo
you're just
3.
running around normally. And cleave as well, which will increase the amount of damage you do by AoE damage.
Not on Diablo 3.
That's not on Diablo 3. And avoidance is damage you taken from AoE is going to be reduced as well. So even though this is going to be a random thing and you're not necessarily going to get a full lifesteal build or a full sturdiness build, like having those extra little stats on your items is going to be pretty fucking cool, if you ask me.
Yeah,
it's just a little additional thing.
I think it's really, really fun because it also means that when an item does drop, let's just say it is just a plate anything, because that's what it will. Let's just say a plate tier chest drops of anything, like, and it has a speed increase. You might think, we don't really need to give it to the paladin healer. He doesn't really need a speed increase, but the warrior tank probably could use a speed increase because this fight has a lot of movement. Fuck knows. It means that you have that option and you can think about it a lot more, and it just makes it more interesting.
Now, one huge thing that everyone will really notice is coming in, which is the Item Squish. Which is, if you don't know what an Item Squish is, pretty much they're reducing every little bit of gear and your base stats all the way down, but the thing is, your relative power and like strength won't change at all. It's pretty much just reducing the numbers. So instead of 400k health, you now have 40k health. Instead of doing 600 million damage, you now do 60k damage. It's just pretty much reducing it back. There's a couple of reasons to do with this. One of them is actually a limit with the game, in which case there's a reason why Garrosh healed up 3 times. It's because he can't have like 4 billion HP, because otherwise the game, it just can't handle that number. So they kind of need to reduce it down anyway, otherwise the bosses will heal every 5 seconds in the next expansion. Also, I think it's just nicer. I'd prefer to see someone with 40k HP than... you get tanks at the moment, if they go full stamina, they can easily hit 1 million HP and get
I mean, it's confusing as well. I mean, like, I remember our tanks on Siegecrafter, when you have the stacks from the boss and it makes you do extra damage to the ad, our tank would do Avenger Shield and he'd be like, did I just hit him for 4 million or 40 million? Because there's so many numbers and it pops up so quickly, you know, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why they're getting rid of that. It makes complete sense. And they did say this will have absolutely no effect on any content we currently have in the game. If you can go solo Molten Core now, after the Item Squish, you can still go solo Molten Core. Except instead of you doing 400k DPS, you will probably be doing 40 or 4.
4 DPS, because the boss has about 1 health. I'm actually really interested to see how much this will fuck up old dungeons. It really possibly can fuck up old dungeons, because like the difference
I mean,
between
they're not going to
health...
balance it. Let's be real. They're not going to sit there and think, fuck, we've done this Item Squish, we really need to make this balance for Molten Core. They're not. They're going to make it so you can still solo it, and that's all they'll give a shit about.
Well, the
Let's
thing
be
is,
real.
would there be a huge difference between, I don't know, the health that Ragnaros has now in Molten Core and the health of, I don't know,
Can't
a
you almost
5-man
one-hit
boss?
Ragnaros right now?
Well, yeah, you can. I think he has just over 1 million or so.
Yeah, well, you
health.
could one-hit him then. Chaos Bolt, he's dead.
But the thing is, like, you might be able to get, like, level 50s to go in there and do it themselves, because the difference in HP will be so minimal.
That might be the new leveling route. You've got to go Molten Core and one-hit everything as a level 50.
It'll be really interesting. I'm going to cover the shit out of that when I can get my hands on the beta. So, yeah, either way, it's going to be cool, and hopefully they'll actually stick to it, because I prefer the lower numbers.
Moving on from itemization changes, we're now going to be talking about the new inventory updates. They're going to be updating the inventory UI quite a lot. Mainly, they're going to be focusing on the bags. They're completely redesigning them so you can configure your bags to take in particular types of loot. You can set up one bag to only take trash loot, which means every time you pick up some shit loot, it'll drop straight into the bag. You might even want one bag to only be consumables, so you can see where all your raid consumables are, or you can make it so you can only see your epic gear for your off-spec or whatever, even though that's not necessarily going to be a problem with the new itemization changes. Yeah. But, you know, that's a really, really good change. I mean, there's add-ons out there that would do kind of the same thing. You having to use add-ons for that is pretty frustrating. I mean, it's annoying.
To be honest, this is a nice change overall, because you can get everything sorted out in a bit of a nicer way, and like especially with the icons telling you if this is shit or like what sort of rarity it is and all that kind of stuff. It is a nice change, but to be honest, you can get add-ons for it, and I just generally hate my inventory. It's always a fucking state. I try and make it look nice, but I know it's going to turn out terrible in the end, so why even bother?
There is one big change, though, is that quest items no longer exist in your bags. Whenever you pick up any item that is towards a quest, it'll go directly into your quest log and will be stored in your quest log that has no, like, inventory cap. It can go as big as many quests you have, essentially, which is brilliant.
Also, they're allowing you to craft directly from your bank. So say you just went and threw a bunch of iron bars in your bank, and then you wanted to go and make something out of the iron bars that you don't have in your bags right now because it's all in your bank, you will be able to make that. It just makes it so you don't have to cart around a load of bollocks all day. It's pretty nice, to be honest. So that's just a nice quality of life change.
And one thing to help this even more is that they did say that they're going to be increasing the stack size of most items dramatically. So you could see one stack of iron bars as being 100 iron bars or something like that, which is a really, really nice change.
Now, the most important thing that I think they've done with the inventory updates is the whole collection system. At the moment, if you don't know what a collection is, like a lot of people don't, pets and mounts, you know, you can access them across account. That's a collection. You've got a collection of pets, you've got a collection of mounts, and anyone can access them anywhere.
And they're in their own separate little tabs.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, there's going to be new things added to collections. There's going to be new collections. Heirlooms are now new collections. Toys, and they're thinking about doing tabards as well. Holy shit, this is like the best thing ever, because I don't know about you, I level a shit ton of alts, like a hell of a lot of alts, and having heirlooms being able to be accessible cross-realm is a big thing for me. I've made so many characters cross-realm, and then I was just like, oh, let's go for it, and then it's like I get to level 8, and it's just like...
Really wish I had my heirlooms right now.
Yes, exactly. So I'm so glad that this is getting done, and like I'm always worrying like, oh, where are all my heirlooms? Does this character have it? And you go through all of your alts trying to find all the heirlooms, even though you can get bag add-ons for that, but you don't even need that anymore because fucking it's in the collection. And I'm so happy.
And as for the toys, this will probably work for things like the train set from Dalaran and the gnome that blows up the train set.
I didn't really think. You do realise how annoying that train is.
Oh yeah, and now that you don't have to keep it in your bags. I mean, the only reason why I don't have the train set anymore is because I didn't have room for it in my bags. Now with everyone having it in your toys tab, holy fuck.
I don't think I'm going to play WoW anymore, actually. Like, you've got garrisons, and you've got all these good items, and shit. There's just too many trains, so... It's so aggravating.
And as for the tabards, I think that's a brilliant idea, because the amount of tabards that I've kept in my bank, because it's like, oh, look at my tabards. I like my tabards for some reason. I just like them. Being able to store them in one single tab would be really, really nice.
Now, moving away from the inventory updates, we are now presented with the new character models. And it's all about time, to be honest. People have been asking for this for fucking ages and ages. And the thing is, they're not all done right now. And they said upon release, they might not all be ready for it. But they are going to be updating all of the classic... all the classic character models, and at the moment they've got a male dwarf, a male orc, and a male gnome to show us off, them off, and they are amazing. Their visual fidelity and like facial detail are like amazing. They've got all new animations, and it just looks so much better.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is though is that they still do look what they looked like before. They're just better versions. Yeah. They just look more fresh. They look, you know, they look good. And that's essentially what you wanted to do, because otherwise you're going to get angry people like, the only reason I went from dwarf to gnome is that gnomes look amazing, and now you've made them look like shit. They haven't. They just, everything looks better. They look exactly the same. You can still look at it and say, ah, that's a dwarf, ah, that's a gnome, that's an orc. It's obvious. They look very similar, but they just have made them so they look a lot better. Really looking forward to see what they're doing with trolls, to be honest. especially troll female, because they're fucking ugly.
You think troll
Well,
females are
dwarf
ugly?
female,
Exactly.
yeah. Dwarf female, I need to see that, actually.
No, you don't. They should just remove it.
Yeah, they should just remove it.
Now, last and not least, we have been shown an adventurer guide, which is a new system brought in for new players, and the idea of it is that you'll bring out a new tab and it will give you ideas on what you need to do and where to go in order to progress your fat character further. It's quite clever in the way it works, is because it kind of sees what you're doing already. So if you're doing quite a lot of PvP, it will give you ideas on what you need to do to get better PvP gear, and if you're doing PvE, it might give you ideas on what you need to do to get your character ready for raiding and things like that. So it'll say, oh, you need to go and do a bit more looking for raid and get some more gear and all that kind of stuff. I think this is a really, really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, not only will it do that, but it'll also give you, like, ideas on what achievements to go for. So if you are, like, a mega hardcore raider, I mean, this doesn't really apply to you, the Adventurer Guide. I'm going to be real. For most people, it won't apply to you if you have been raiding for quite a long time, because it's stuff that you already know. But if you're a brand new player, or you're a very bored player, this thing will scream at you and say, look, do this, look, do that, look, do this, just by opening up a tab. It'll give you achievement ideas, it'll give you, like, ideas for your profession. It might be like, you have quite a lot of living bars in your bag. 2 more and you can make this mount. And you're like, oh my god, I didn't even know. Thank you, Adventurer Guide. You know, it's that sort of thing. So I think this is brilliant, yeah. It's harmless, there's nothing wrong with it, and it's only a plus, really. Yeah. And ultimately, if you don't like it, then don't fucking open it.
Yeah, you don't need to use it at all.
Absolutely brilliant.
So that's pretty much it. There's a lot of stuff there, and
yeah,
to be honest,
we've been talking for a while now.
Yeah, it's all really, really good stuff, though. Like, most of it is, like, a really nice addition to the game, and I think this new expansion is going to be ridiculously strong. There's going to be so many new features, and it looks so brand new and shiny. I don't know. There's a surprising lack of corgis still, but I think it's good overall, from what we can see.
I'm very, very excited. So thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to leave a comment on any of the things that we spoke about today, then please do so in the comment section below, even though the new system is terrible. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and please do drop us a like if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.